It's almost the 2026 fantasy football season, and if you're already running best ball drafts or if you're already planning for your redraft season, which running backs would you take and in what order? Well, it's me, Jagger May, and that's Ian Hartitz, and this is a fantasy running back tiers episode. Ian, welcome back on this journey. We did quarterbacks last episode for those that want to see that. For this one, we are doing running backs, and I think running back is the most interesting position this year because I feel like, and we talked about this on your channel, more than ever, you got to be buff at running back. Like doing zero RB is scary. Even someone who is a running back fader like me, I feel like I need to be aggressive. With that being said, we are ranking within tiers. So we'll start at the top with the S tier: Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey. You can't miss with these guys, especially in redraft. Best ball, that's a whole other different thing. But in redraft, you're probably fine as long as these guys are healthy.
We've kind of gone over it, Gibbs versus Bijan as well. I'm not going to call anyone crazy if they want to draft Bijan first overall. Go for it. Dude's in his prime. Amazing player. Could catch 80 passes. For me, I'm just team Gibbs because the Lions offense is expected to be much better than the Falcons one, and it's kind of as simple as that. CMC is just the tougher one, Jagger. Like I'm 100% with you. RB3. My personal tier article, I had him kind of in his own tier because we just have that one elephant in the room, the 450 touches for a guy who is going to be 30 years old. But, man, it is one of those things where I think sometimes when we talk about, the older running backs in the NFL, it's a bit of survivorship bias, right? There's not that many age 30-plus seasons of guys balling out because there's not that many age 30-plus running backs in the first place still in the NFL. So if there was going to be someone to continue to just, stick the middle finger up at these trends, I think it might be arguably the best fantasy football running back that we've ever seen in Christian McCaffrey. So, again, I know some of the run stuff was down, but when you can catch 80-plus passes and it doesn't surprise anyone, man, it's just so tough to bust in a meaningful way in fantasy.
Yeah, dude. It was actually your tweet that, because me, I'm a dynasty guy. So I'm like, ooh, he's old, but then you're like, here's Christian McCaffrey, just his receiving points per game. And I'm just like, damn, that is really good football player. And then you look at where the 49ers are. Is Ricky Pearsall healthy? We don't know. Who is Deshaun Stribling? That is a question mark prospect. Jawan Jennings is gone. George Kittle, that's the one that I'm circling, that him being out, where Christian McCaffrey earns his targets, that's the same area of the field. So I'm okay running it back. And again, if I'm going to do best ball, I'm not going to take Christian McCaffrey first again. Statistically, it's just not likely ever going to happen again like that. But at the same time, if you just want a buff lineup with a really good running back in a first round and have a hero, there are worse guys. Now,
it is one of those things, Jagger, where it's just kind of funny. I think the way we look at someone like CMC, though, where we go, 450 touches last season. It's like we would almost rather have someone stay healthy. Or no, I'm sorry. We'd rather have a running back get injured, not have 450 touches. People are more concerned, I feel like, with CMC staying healthy than someone like Cam Scatterby and Quinshon Judkins, whose legs have not been in the same piece for the better part of the last, 12 months. So just, again, I think the way we talk about this workload stuff can be very, very interesting. But CMC, how many wide receivers are you taking over him? For me, it's Chase and Puka. I think that's it.
Yeah, Jamar Chase. Yeah, Jamar Chase, Puka. I'm really bullish on Justin Jefferson and JSN as anyone, but I feel like we got to bake some regression in the JSN, right? Just a little bit. Just
enough to have CMC fit overall, I think. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Now we'll move down to the A tier where things get slightly more interesting. Man, we both had Jonathan Taylor as RB4. This feels like one of these things where in a vacuum, it makes sense, but I don't like it in practice, even though I'm still ranking him there. Saquon Barkley, James Cook, and Ashton Genty round out this tier. Do you think Jonathan Taylor can do it again? It's the Daniel Jones question, man. If you look at the splits with Daniel Jones and without, we get old school Jonathan Taylor where he's a great player, but he's on the Colts, or do we have someone who could have the Saquon Barkley-like season because he finally has someone who can move the rock?
The one really good thing for JT this past season was we finally saw the Colts basically say, hey, you're our workhorse. We're not going to take you off the field. Because usually it's been what's the difference between Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry? And then if the Colts offense isn't going to be good or their team like you're talking about, we're not thrilled about that. But last season, man, career high 5.6 PPR points per game just from receiving for Jonathan Taylor. He was only at 2.7 in 2024. So again, over double what we saw previously because they just leave him on the field. So on the one hand, I hear you. I'm not overly enthused about this Colts offense. And honestly, I've been clicking Jonathan Taylor a ton in round one, usually going with my guy, Amon-Ra St. Brown or Justin Jefferson ahead of him at that point. But I do struggle to get him much lower than RB4 because we are still looking at someone who, yeah, it was for half the season, but very much looked like the best running back alive for the first half of the season last year. And on the other hand, if we do see Daniel Jones being a bit more limited, well, it kind of makes sense if they end up leaning on JT more than ever and DJ trying to get that ball out of his hands faster than ever, again, with that right Achilles issue. So, again, don't love JT drafting him where he is, but I think trying to make like a rational reason why he should be ranked lower than RB4, that's where it gets tough.
Exactly. That's where it's at, because he's one of these. And I said this in my dynasty wide receiver rankings video, where some of these guys, it's not the advanced stats, it's not them as a player, but to put them over into the next tier with some of these other guys, they don't check every box, which is, do you have the quarterback? Do you have the offense? Do you have the environment to harness the good? Because as we've seen with Jackson Smith-Njigba, everyone was like, well, he's a fantasy bust because we thought he was going to be a top 5 wide receiver. And he wasn't for the first 2 seasons of his career until he got the quarterback, until he got the play calling. And right now, Jonathan Taylor has the play calling. He has the team. It's just that quarterback equation that is the huge problem. Ashton Genty is someone I am very, very bullish on because like we just kind of talked about with JSN, and having the play calling. Guess who his play caller is, Ian? You know?
There we go, man. Hey, if we just drafted running backs from the Kubiak family tree for the better part of the last 15 years, man, we'd be feeling pretty good about it. The elephant in the room is just this offense. Like you look at kind of where Vegas has these different running backs teams finishing up. I think the Raiders are 28th going into next season. So we do have Kubiak, Mendoza, Cousins. They brought in Linderbaum. Like it should be relatively better, but still when you compare them across the rest of the league, not looking too pretty. I did, though, Jagger, look back, and we have seen over the course of the past decade, 14 running backs post RB1 caliber numbers while operating in a bottom 10 scoring offense. And the big similarity for a lot of these guys, man, we saw an average of 52 catches, median 50 from this group. I mean, Derrick Henry is the only guy since 2018 to have under 40 catches in the season. So if we are going to get a running back kind of overcoming their bad environment, this also applies to Devon Achane, we need someone who can just be racking up receptions. And I think that applies to Ashton Genty, man. It wasn't completely smooth, few too many drops last year and everything. But, you know, he also flashed some special ability, caught a wheel down the sideline against the Colts, you know, toasted some poor Texans linebacker on a deep ball in that huge Week 15 game or whenever that was. So I have warmed to Ashton Genty more and more because just, again, use your eyes, guys. Watch this dude. He is explosive. He's a great tackle breaker. He's in a bad situation. And I think there should be enough receiving workload on a team with 0 wide receivers we care about for him to be able to make the most of, again, what's probably a bad situation.
Do you think that he's a first-round player, like for fantasy, that you need to be taking him at the turn?
Yeah, I do think so. Look, we have Saquon ahead of him. Cook's very close. Again, it's one of these things where RB7 feels right to me, and then we have 5, maybe 6 wide receivers, depending on how you feel with CD. Like, the lowest I could probably rationally rank Genty would be like 13th overall.
Yeah, that's actually because I pulled from I made these rankings like a couple of weeks ago, and that was like full disclosure. Okay, we have a new ranking system. I need to get them up, like that type of thing. When I was actually sitting down and digging through them, like me and Ian are every week, we're kind of going through these things. I was like, okay, if I think that Ashton Genty can be in the S tier category next season, he needs to firmly be within that A tier. The only reason why we can't put him in that S tier is we've seen it from all the other 2 guys. We've seen it. We think, and we pretty much know that Ashton Genty can do it. It's not that Ashton Genty can't do it. It's that the Raiders, can they do it? That's the question there. So he's someone I find myself hyper targeting. If I'm at the turn, it's almost automatic for me. I know our boy Theo loves Brock Bowers, so I'm kind of mixing that in a little bit, but I would just rather have Ashton Genty have that hero running back locked in, and then it's good. Saquon Barkley, kind of want to go back to him a little bit. Do you think it's a rebound season for him, that the Eagles are kind of done with the funky stuff?
Yeah, I think a lot of last year And this happened to Travis Etienne in college as well. So I've been trying to be keen on it ever since. We've seen these big drop-offs in yards per carry. And a lot of times, man, I just think you can look at the yards before contact per carry, which is basically an offensive line stat. And that can actually tell you where things really went wrong. So 2024, Eagles number 1 with 2.25 yards before contact per carry for their running backs. Last year, they fell to 7th. And it was just 1.45. So again, that's a pretty massive difference, guys. That's 0.8. That would take Saquon again from this lowly 4.1 yards per carry, wherever he finished with, back to pushing towards 5. So the way I just kind of get to it, Jagger, is like we can now take Saquon Barkley, everyone's pick for the best running back alive this time last year in the early parts of round 2. If I am going to be taking a running back at that turn out of this, again, kind of great wall of RBs from Jonathan Taylor all the way down to like Derrick Henry, Devon Achane, Saquon's been my pick.
Yeah, I agree 100%. You're almost – I'm doing some DK stuff now, kind of moving some action over there, and you take him for granted because you're on the clock right there in the second round. You're like, shit, Saquon Barkley's right there. And you almost like forget because you're not used to him being available over the last 2 seasons that you're almost blind to him. So a lot of good value in the second round. In this tier, I definitely prefer Barkley and Genty. James Cook is one of these guys where he's like, regression means nothing to him. Like, what is that? Everyone's like, he can't continue to get 20 touchdowns every season, and he just does. Like, if there's any player that I've been perennially wrong about, it's been James Cook, and I'm just kind of done with that because he keeps doing it. The Bills aren't bringing anyone else in, and I feel like they finally have the offense. If anything, the receiving may go down, but I just feel like he's really safe.
It's just one of those things, though, man, where if you do believe these running backs coming off big touch workload seasons can falter the following year, dude had 385 last season. So, again, I don't tend to put that much stock behind it, but it's one of these reminders where Bijan Robinson, too, back-to-back years, I think at like 363 and 364. So if you are holding true to that in CMC, should at least look at some of these other dudes. But I hear you with Cook, but the other side of the equation is like, yes, could he not have as many, long touchdowns? Could he also be in a situation where the Bills fall off a little bit, so all of a sudden that split at the goal line of Josh Allen having so many push touchdowns, that becomes a lot more problematic if you're not going to be, a top 5 scoring offense in the NFL. But at the same time, we still got Josh Allen. We still got Joe Brady. I think we all agree the Bills are probably going to be really good. And God forbid, Jagger, some of this offseason coach speak that we hear for every freaking running back every year. What if it's true this time? What if James Cook does get leaned into more as a receiver, man? Because that has been the surprising part with the 24 and 25 seasons. We actually saw him have far less receiving work than he did in 2023. So, again, Pete Carmichael, going back to the Saints days, there's been talks about them re-embracing that facet of Cook's game. So that would be the reason why I can't really rank Cook much lower because, yeah, I see some of the concerns. But the other argument is, man, they haven't even fully tapped into this dude yet. Like, what if we're sitting here by the end of November and like, oh, James Cook's on pace to catch 60, 70 passes, he could have a top 3 finish.
Yeah. There's one thing that I've kind of done or eliminated from my fantasy analysis is the big brain stuff. Like, regression is fine if it's stuff like touchdowns. Cook gets significant touches on top of that. So like the touchdowns are just a result from significant touches. So I don't like to say, well, he could probably suck. Well, why? Because he was really good and they gave him the ball a bunch and they might not do that again. It's like, what incentive do they have to not give this guy the ball more? Zero, So until there's incentive to not give him the ball more, I'm just going to continue to draft him. And I think that's the way that everyone else should do it is just keep it simple, stupid where you can. If he didn't suck, he probably won't suck again if there's no reason for it. If no one came into that room to challenge him, there's no reason for it. So before we go any further, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. More importantly, it's a new era over here at RotoWire. I'm going to be captaining over here. Ian's got his own channel. And we have Theo over on the big channel over there. Here, I keep it a lot of dynasty. Times like now, I'm going to mix in some redrafts and best ball. But more importantly, we have a lot of tools and things over on the website. Make sure to use the code JAG20. We have tools for everything, no matter what you want. If you have college best ball, there's a tool for that. We have our draft kit that's going to be released, our app that's going to be re-released soon. You don't want to miss out because we want to help you dominate your league. And I paid the bills. I did what I'm contractually obligated to do. I hope they like that I entered that. Are you a Big Dick player? Now we go down to the B tier. It's Derrick Henry, Amarian Hampton, Kenneth Walker, Chase Brown, Devon Achane, and Breece Hall. Here's where we have a true divide in some of our rankings. And the big one here is Derrick Henry. You have him at 11. I have him at 7. Remember what I said, that this guy just hasn't fucking sucked. Like, he just hasn't done it. And everyone keeps giving me age regression. And almost any running back, probably literally any other running back, I'd be like, yes, man, we should probably fade him. But Derrick Henry is not a man, Ian. He's not a man. Am I crazy to have him as my RB7 right now in 2026?
No, I don't think you're crazy at all, man. It's Derrick freaking Henry. We saw him win leagues down the stretch. And even like one of the things I looked at, which was true, he was worse last year than he was in 2024, but it was just because he was so freaking unreal in 2024. And this goes back to some of your complaints with, everyone just crying out regression. A lot of times it's just like, well, look how good he was. That's going to be really hard for him to be that good again. It's like, okay, sure. But if everything else is looking pretty solid, they can go from really good to still pretty good and obviously still put forward really good numbers like Henry last season. So I get it. We've seen 4 running backs in the last decade score at least 15 PPR points per game after turning 30. Henry's done it twice in these past 2 seasons. Mark Ingram got there in 2019, and then we had the Raheem Mostert, fever dream of a season from a couple years ago. So, look, if you're looking for someone who can keep on telling Father Time to F right off, it is Derrick Henry. I just wonder if we're due for the Ravens offense to maybe take a little bit of a step back. That offensive line has been understaffed and underpaid for years. And looking at some of the consensus, like offensive line preseason rankings, shout out Football Insights, very helpful Twitter page. They're only coming in at 24th, man. I know they got the young first rounder out of Penn State. Maybe he can do a good job replacing Tyler Lindenbaum, who took his talents to Las Vegas. But I just worry that Lamar, as much as he was injured last year, he's probably never going to be the same dynamic, just game-breaking threat we saw back in 2019 from a rushing perspective. So I'm just not quite as confident Lamar can make up for this offensive line in the same way in the future. So there's just a lot of variables, Jagger, that I don't love for a guy that we still got to be drafting inside the top 15 overall. So look, Derrick Henry, I hear you. Rank him RB7, go for it. But Amarian Hampton, Kenneth Walker, Chase Brown, I just feel like I don't have the same level of concerns with their offenses as I kind of do with the Ravens right now.
Let me try to sell you.
Okay.
A Ben Johnson offense, Declan Doyle.
We love saying this about new play callers. How did it work out for the Jets last year? Tanner Engstrom,
Yeah. I get that's fair. I guess I am bullish on that. Olivi Vega, I think he's the best offensive lineman in the class.
That's fair.
With the exception, I think Monroe Freeling. I think that's a big upgrade. So maybe I am crazy. And the other big outlier that we had here, Kenneth Walker. Amarian Hampton were in lockstep. I think he's fine. I don't like drafting him. I know it's weird. It's like when you rank something, they're like, do you like drafting Amarian Hampton as your ninth running back? No. But would I draft him or would I rank him anywhere else? Also no. So he's there. Kenneth Walker, I have him as RB12. You have him as RB8. Especially with running back, I think for running backs, that's significant. I feel like you can almost tier even more with these running backs here. Get me there with it. Because it's not that I don't like drafting him, because he's very affordable compared to where we're getting at. And I do think we're going to get a little bit more of a run-first KC a season next year. But at the same time, it's just been hard to project what they want to do, particularly with running the football. And you could make the argument they just haven't had a Kenneth Walker.
No, they haven't, man. Since 2022, Walker is RB2 in tackles avoided per carry. He's RB11 in yards after contact per carry. Explosive rush rate. Chiefs running backs during that same time frame, dead ass last in both. So really, man, ever since that prime young version of Kareem Hunt, we got Damian Williams doing his thing in the playoffs a little bit. Clyde Edwards-Helaire maybe had a good game or two during his career in KC, but it really has just been a brutal rushing attack far more years than not over these last 4. So I get why the Chiefs spent, again, $43 million here to go ahead and bring in Walker to now be the running back, y'all. I used to do these studies, Jagger, in the offseason where it was like players switching teams. Usually didn't work out. Like if you really are worth it, oftentimes you're traded. You're not actually allowed to hit the open market. But it's changed pretty remarkably with running backs in these past seasons, especially when they've gone to like organizations that we believe in. Okay, Saquon going to the Eagles, obviously Derrick Henry going to the Ravens, Josh Jacobs going to the Packers. Like rock solid, good offenses. And I don't think, I think we all kind of agree on this. Like, if you have a really bad offense, getting this, Ferrari of a running back as your first thing probably isn't going to be the best. It's hard for someone like Ashton Genty to make up for, the other 10 guys not being there. But if you already have a pretty good environment, the Chiefs, one of the highest, dollar offensive lines in the league. We still got Patrick Mahomes. Tore his knee, not his arm, Jagger. Let's remember that. So we still got Patrick Mahomes under center. They can be the cherry on top of a sundae that I do think takes that offense, from good to potentially great. So Kenneth Walker, again, it's a bet on him being one of the more talented running backs in the league in an offense that, yes, has been more good than great in recent years. But, man, we're finally getting someone to actually soak up potentially 80% of that work in the Mahomes Reed offense. That's where I'm trying not to overthink it too much.
No, I get you there. I hear you. And to be honest, it's more that I feel more stable. Like, Chase Brown is just easy to project. He's one where I don't like the player. The Bengals love him, man. Yeah, the Bengals love him, man. That's all what matters is that he gets targets, he gets touches, and that's a very, very good offense. So that's because now I'm thinking about this out loud. Like, it's breaking my brain just a little bit because, like, I come from scouting. So I'm just like, well, Kenneth Walker's a better player. With running backs, that doesn't matter. Sometimes they just like these guys. And I watched Sean McVay slam Malcolm Brown in the back of guards for like 2 seasons for no reason. He just really liked him. I feel like Kyron Williams is one of those guys where there's probably other running backs, but they really like him. So that's all that matters. So that's kind of why I put him ahead. And then I want to comment on your point that you mentioned about free agency being different from running backs. Again, to put the scouts hat back on, it's kind of like how we perceive an Alabama or a Georgia running back. Man, Alabama really like this guy. That matters a lot. So he's probably pretty good. If a Super Bowl competitive team really, really likes a player, I think that you should really like that player because to bring it full circle back to Chase Brown, environment's everything. Environment is what's doing it for Chase Brown. If Bijan Robinson was on that offense, holy shit, like the amount we could get on it. But no, we got Chase Brown, and it's still fine. So,
and it is one of those things where I think maybe we've already, written the tombstone for the Chiefs a little bit early. Like, I know they fell off last year, but that was because their one-score game record went from 11-0 to I think 1-9. I mean, these 6-11 Chiefs had a better point differential than the 11-6 Chargers last season, and that was even losing Patrick Mahomes for a couple of games down the stretch, where they're out there losing the Titans all of a sudden and stuff like that. So again, just one of these things where organization that deserves the benefit of the doubt. It should still be a good, potentially great offense. Let's just get that bell cow in there, man. But point take on the Chase Brown stuff. Like, again, we kind of opened this up talking about Jonathan Taylor. I don't think Jonathan Taylor magically became a mediocre running back in the second half of last season. It was just everything else.
Yes, exactly. It's environment, and I tell everyone, environment is everything for running backs. It is everything. We're going to talk about Cam Scatteraboo later, like some of these other. Actually, let's talk about one right now, Devon Achane in this tier. Yeah. Prime example, very, very good player. I do not like drafting him because of environment. Breece Hall's another one where Theo has a very compelling argument. Theo's a very smart man and good at this.
How many guys, Jagger, how many top 4 round picks do I need to get all of Theo's guys? I feel like there's like 10 league winning targets in the first 4 rounds. I can't keep up with all these guys. But at least Breece Hall though is a value. Devon Achane could be not a value. So I actually want to focus on him. You have to pay a premium pick for Devon Achane. I can't do it, man. I can't do Malik 35 passes got me a contract Willis. I can't do it. I can't do Chris Bell is the wide receiver 1. I can't do it. I can't do Greg. I've never played more than 5 games, but those 5 games were awesome Dulcich. This is just not an offense where I feel like Devon Achane can thrive in. And everyone's like, he's the wide receiver 1. I had a Rich Rebra on yesterday. That episode will drop yesterday, whenever this releases. I'm in like multiple timelines, people. Football doesn't work like that. Running backs and RB1s, unless you're Christian McCaffrey that one season with the Panthers that they didn't play well as an offense. Yeah. He did well, but they were not well. So I just can't get there. How much Achane do you think you're going to be holding next season? Not much. And the only thing that scares me about this, man, is I just feel like more and more most of the fantasy community sees the red flags with Achane. But all of a sudden, as soon as we all start agreeing on fading a guy, that's when he's going to find a way just to go off anyway. So mentioned before, he does have the archetype that we've seen make the most out of these bad situations. He's an explosive running back with very good pass catching skills. And hey, the common pushback I've seen with this is the Dolphins sucked last season. Why is this going to even be that much different? It's just Tua to Malik Willis, man. These scrambling quarterbacks, as much as I think Malik's going to make the run game better as a whole, that gravity and read option, like Achane's probably still going to average 5 or so yards per carry, but the highest scramble rate of any quarterback over the course of these past 2 seasons. We're not getting checkdowns now from Tua, terrified to take another concussion, tackled by Loa. It's not going to be Malik Willis running around for an offense with limited goal line opportunities. And when we do get around the goal line, it's going to be Malik Willis and maybe even Ollie Gordon making it tough for Achane to get those fantasy-friendly touches from inside the 5-yard line. So, again, just inside the top 20 picks, man, I would really, really rather not take someone that could, again, very likely be in the single worst offense in the NFL. But I will say, Jagger, like, the way we're talking about Genty versus Achane, you could make an argument we're just being too hard on Achane relative to these same factors that we're kind of more okay with embracing with Genty.
Genty has Bowers and Mendoza. I just can't.
I
like, you're right
over Slovic too, but just push back. And Achane is really good. So
you're right, guys. I hate to quote the Podfather. It's not the player, it's the ADP. But like it kind of is though. It a little bit is. We'll go down to the C tier.
Hold
right
on,
now.
What's the Breece Hall argument? Because, like, again, why is this
lots of targets? Lots of targets, and Geno Smith is better than Justin Fields. But I like to tell people that, like, better than and guys, I was a Justin Fields guy. I've been the guy. It's Jover, man. And I'm at the point where it's like, it's not that Justin Fields, well, he's better than Justin Fields. Okay, a live body is technically better than a dead body, but my grandma should not play quarterback for the Jets. That's kind of where I'm at with that. And
we'll
I'm
see,
not
though, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, Geno Smith did not play well with the Raiders. Do you feel good that Aaron Glenn and his coaching staff can get the most out of him? Yeah.
No, I don't. Frank Reich spent last year fielding one of the worst offenses in college football at Stanford. He didn't even work in 2024. Breece Hall can catch the ball. I get it. Our RotoWire projections have him at 38 catches. I mean, that's fewer than Jonathan Taylor, Javonte Williams, Rashad White, a bunch of guys. It's really not all that high. They brought in Omar Cooper and Kenyon Sadiq, 2 guys who I think do their best work in the underneath areas of the field. Like you talked about CMC maybe benefiting from Kittle either being out to start or being limited. I'm with you there. I think you add Cooper and Sadiq here, and it's very problematic for Breece Hall. Could Geno do his best, like 20-25 Jacoby impression? And like this, it's a bad team, but their offense can still score 20-24 points. Yeah, but I just get worried, Jagger, when the Jets are 1-12, like most of us kind of think is going to happen. And then we're going to fantasy playoffs with Cade freaking Klubnik under center and hoping that Breece Hall can make the most on an offense implied to score like 13 points. So I don't know, man. Him and Jeremiah Love, it's not anything about the talent, but we've just gotten done talking about how much an offensive environment can just wipe out everything else for these guys. So could it work out? Okay. I mean, I have Breece Hall ranked, RB 14, so it's not like I'm super low on the guy or anything, but like Breece Hall versus Javonte Williams, man, why not just take the guy who is maybe a little bit worse, but could very easily be in the highest scoring offense in the NFL?
That's okay. This is a good segue here because that's kind of where I'm at. I with the exception of Derrick Henry, I hate the B tier. I just hate shopping there. I don't want to call it a dead zone because they're not dead, but you're paying a premium price for what you could get in this next tier, the C tier, where you can get Kyron Williams, Jeremiah Love, Javonte Williams, Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne, DeAndre Swift, Trevion Henderson. We're kind of all over the place here. But Kyron Williams is someone that I feel like I like Blake Corum a lot. I have Blake Corum ranked up, but Kyron Williams, I'm only fading a little bit. I have a hard time conceptualizing that multiple things can be true. That Blake Corum is going to come in and earn more touches, but unless Kyron Williams has an injury or just plays generationally bad, that he's still probably going to be the RB1, going to get a lot of third down touches and be a good player. I would just rather have Kyron Williams because Blake Corum hasn't been very healthy That's like, let's just put it this way. Can Blake Corum stay on the field? Because if not, you have the RB1 in one of the best offenses in the NFL.
And hey, I mean, Kyron, you look at even last year, I think he was RB11 PPR points per game. So still peeled off an RB1 season with Corum being more involved. And the 2 years before that, bro, he was up there with like CMC and Bijan, the single most productive running backs in fantasy. So it does seem like a situation with Kyron, man. We're getting a chance to draft him much closer to his floor than his ceiling. Could it just be more of a 50-50 split? Yeah, I guess. But God, if you're going to take 50% of the work in any offense in the league, it probably would be this Rams squad that's going to have more leads than ever. And they got now this amazing defense that's going to probably give them, again, that positive leading game script that at times escaped them last season. So I personally, man, I just feel like my overall draft strategy, I get in this tier. Yeah, okay, we can make a bull case for every single player in the NFL, all right? So I get it. Some of these guys will work out, and I probably should have drafted more of them by the time we get to the end of the season. But more and more, Jagger, and we talked about this a little bit with the overall kind of strategy and stuff, but like getting one of those running backs in A or B tier that I don't have these same potential concerns about. Give me the hero. Give me maybe a Brock Bowers and a Colson Loveland. And then let me just attack wide receiver for these rounds where I'm freaking loving these Lab McConkeys, Emeka Ibukas, potential league-winning guys. Again, not that the running backs can't outperform them, but I just think really, really spamming these running backs early when you can get your Bijan, you get your hero, and then you just kind of figure out the RB2 spot later. That's more so been my inkling here. Just, again, Kyron Williams against some of these wide receivers, I just have not been going out on a limb getting them.
And that's when, like right now, we're looking at running backs in a linear fashion and not in and not congruently overall with everyone. So it's harder to deal. Cause I love that you bring up that point. I also never want to get in the lobby with you because we draft the exact same thing. All the things, I literally had a whole video yesterday of our wide receiver tiers. So I'm like, hey guys, just get running back. Like your first 3 picks, don't even fuck with wide receiver. just get running back, tight end, and then go get Emeka Ibuka, Lad McConkey. Yeah. If you want a Jets player on a bad team, get Garrett Wilson or something like that. Like there's a lot of guys who have some upside up there. So I get it 100%. Where I end up is I do the hero thing where I see Justin Jefferson or AJ Brown and I'm like, I gotta, and then I'll take them. So then I need an RB2 and then I'm going to shop for guys where I had to fade him a little bit. But I'm going to be honest, I might just aggressively get him more Travis Etienne. We just got the news that Alvin Kamara is why? It's because Kellen Moore has a good offense and he's an explosive player who could catch passes and do enough, and I like the Saints. So that's the bull case. Give me the negative case.
Kamara's back. Everyone thought he wasn't going to be.
But what is Kamara back though? Back with what? A switch?
How many extra yards per carry do you think Travis Etienne has over Kamara these last 2 seasons?
I think it's actually not that significantly more, but yeah.
I think Liam Cohen did Etienne. God, I'm so annoyed having to call this dude. He came in. I think I saw the fantasy points guys say this. He doesn't even know how to say his name right, and you want to use a top 3-4 round pick on the guy. Could the Saints offense be ascending? Sure. They did a great job against the Jets and Titans and all those shitty defenses they played in the second half of last year. I'm not sold on it, man. I think Kamara could easily lead the way on pass downs. This could be a 60-40 split in an offense that's more average than anything to write home about. And just for my money's worth, man, the 2 most ridiculously explosive college running backs I saw that terrified me as an Ohio State fan were Travis Etienne and then also Saquon Barkley when he was doing his thing at Penn State. I just haven't seen that same guy. J.K. Dobbins had a faster top speed than Travis Etienne last season, all right? So I don't think he's a special talent at this point in his career. We've had a lot of injuries catch up. And just, again, he caught some passes last year in wide open situations I think Liam Cohen deserves a lot of credit for. So using, again, such an early pick on HM. 48 million reasons to get him the ball, I guess, but I think it's very presumptuous to assume that he is just going to make Kamara take a complete backseat. Kamara is probably still a better receiver at this point. And all those same arguments that we use for Genty and Judkins to explain their lackluster yards per carry. And I think those are good arguments about how bad the O-line was in yards before contact per carry. Those also apply to Kamara. It wasn't like he was out there in the second half of last season when everything's going great and it's like, oh, there's Kamara struggling again. He had the Spencer Rattler experience in the first half of the year. So I think Kamara is the most live backup running back of pretty much anyone we've talked about so far, other than maybe Kyron. But Kyron's in the Rams offense, not the Saints.
You make me want to keep him as far as I faded him, but I'm going to keep drafting him. You make some compelling points. I'm
often wrong, Jagger, so let's keep that in mind.
The one I want to point out is the top speed thing is interesting. Like that's guys, this is why it's good to talk ball with your homies, because those are notes I'm going to take back and go to the lab with later. It's like, let me go check Ian's homework and then compare it to mine, and then we'll make adjustments. I've already talked enough about Henderson on multiple pods. Have I talked enough here? Guys, I love Henderson. I think he's good. We actually have him ranked the same. I was shocked at how high you are on DeAndre Swift. This is out of respect. I was just like, wheels up, baby. There's someone who could go higher on DeAndre Swift. I was like, there are dozens of us who are DeAndre Swift fans, because just speak the gospel, because I think you're higher on him because I'm higher on Monangai a little bit, and that's the only reason why you're so aggressively high. So I kind of want to talk about that. Do you think he's just going to get 20 touches a game and Monangai was just like kind of a fluke there, or what?
I mean, down the stretch of last season, because we had that massive Bengals game where Swift was out, Monangai goes for like 198 total yards. I know it was against the Bengals guys, so I'm not crowning his ass or anything, but they got Monangai more involved down the stretch, but still it was 56% versus 43% snaps. Rush attempts were still in favor of Swift. No debate on who the pass down back is. So the dude's been a top 24 PPR running back every single season of his career. I'm actually, now that we do have confirmation that Kamara is in New Orleans, I'm going to move Swift up ahead of ETN as well. So he will be my RB18. We believe in the Bears, the Ben Johnson offense. It's just like, because DeAndre Swift got his chain snatched from Saquon Barkley in Philly and Jahmyr Gibbs in Detroit, like we're still holding that against the guys. So, no, I don't think Swift is as good as those guys. I think Detroit and Philly made a good move to go ahead and prioritize those other running backs, but that doesn't mean DeAndre Swift is inherently dog shit, And I feel like we use that logic for David Montgomery and kind of hyping out for Houston. Swift doesn't get the same allure there. So Ben Johnson just had another quote coming out and saying like, yeah, Swift's very good. He's an explosive pass catcher. He's always going to be a big part of what we do. I just think people got tired of Swift, when he didn't exactly post top 10 numbers like we were hoping him to in some of those later Detroit years. And then obviously they moved on, and we're still just kind of holding that against him. So, I mean, because you look at it, Jagger, like, why not even – what is the biggest – like, why are we even drafting Breece Hall ahead of DeAndre Swift? Because he's that much of a better football player? Like, this Bears offense could be nasty.
I wish Theo was here. I want to debate. I want to because you're right. I have drafted literally the whole lobby hated Breece Hall, so I'm like, all right, now I'll get him here. That's like the only Breece Hall that I've drafted. It's not been like, ooh, let's get him at ADP, because it's like, again, you don't draft running backs from bad offenses. You do draft running backs from good offenses. I think DeAndre Swift is a better player than Chase Brown. I believe that in my heart. I believe it. And if we're drafting Chase Brown as like a top 12 guy, purely from a good offense, why wouldn't we draft DeAndre Swift? I'm not saying he needs to be a first round pick because he does have Kyle Monangai. But I mean, shadow realming him to at past 20 is egregious. So, because I'm with you, man. I have so much Swift as my RB2 that I'm just thrilled with it. So, anyone else in this tier that I care about right now? No, let's move down to the D tier. Cam Scatterboo, Jadarian Price, Bucky Irving. Ooh, you hate to see it. Quinshon Judkins, you hate to see it. Bashal Tootin, Jalen Warren, Rico Dowdle, and David Montgomery. Running backs on bad offenses.
Yeah.
Cam Scatterboo's on a bad offense, guys. I'm sorry. The Giants are a bad offense. The Giants are a bad offense. They are injured. They are incomplete. Will they be good players eventually? Maybe, but this year I'm just out on it. I'm sorry. That's all I got there.
different offense coming in. I don't trust the Matt Nagy, Brian Callahan, Greg Roman brain trust to figure this out, guys. All right?
Nightmare blunt rotation. That is a nightmare blunt rotation.
Did you guys hear Jagger? It's a bad offense, okay? So it's nothing against Scatterboo, but it's also one of these things, man, where him, Judkins, even like George Kittle, I hope they are back by week 1. It sounds like each of these guys has a decent chance to. There's a big difference between being back in week 1 and being 100% in week 1, though, man. The history of these dudes coming back from literally breaking their fibula, it's full of guys like Tony Pollard, who unfortunately just were not the same player last season. So you're only going to have yourself to blame if you draft Cam Scatterboo this early and he looks like a shell of himself for the first month or two of the season. And again, it's just we're putting a lot of stock into a 8-game rookie year sample where, yeah, he caught a lot of passes. That was great. I'm pretty sure Malik Neighbors being out of the picture also probably played a pretty big role in that coming to fruition. So my one holdback is I do think the one way how he escapes the dead zone label, Jagger, of just purely being a volume guy is the pass catching ability. I do like Jackson Dart. I think that the way this goes right is that Jackson Dart just elevates the entire offense. They end up being closer to average or above average, and Scatterboo still finds a way to catch 60 or 70 passes. But I'm not going out of my way for him, man. Like, again, to see him going ahead of DeAndre Swift and these guys in just much cleaner situations couldn't be me.
Yeah, I'm with you there because it's Jadarian Price. I would rather have that's a good offense, Yeah. And even though we're getting the bad press that we need to bring him on. That's someone you're circling as cool. We're playing for the back half of the season, and he's my RB2, and you need to maybe draft some guys that you're going to not get zeros winning your RB2 spots. This dangerous game.
Every rookie, Jagger. It's not like
every rookie.
The first rookie we've heard of. Remember those? Oh, it's about to be unofficial depth chart season when the interns put it out, and that's going to be really fun. Bijan Robinson was behind Tyler Algier and Cordero Patterson on the Falcons' initial preseason depth chart, and it didn't matter because he was a baller first-round pick. I don't think Price is that level prospect or anything, but yeah, I feel like we're overthinking some of this, and I appreciate everyone being this into fantasy football in July, but this just feels to me like overthinking.
It's way overthinking it, man. It's way overthinking. I'd rather have him. Say what you want about Bucky Irving. I think I like the upside there, a lot more. And I think we've adjusted fine. We did it, guys. You're no longer paying a top 5 pick for Bucky Irving. It's we did it. The work's done. I want to talk about Bashal Tutin. That's a pretty big outlier for us. I think I have him ranked for his floor. Because I have him at 28, you have him at 20. Mm-hmm. I don't think people are counting LaQuint Allen. I'm not saying it's Chris Rodriguez or Bashal Tutin. I think that at the end of the day, we're going to see that Bashal Tutin had most of the touches by a lot. But most of the touches in this offense, I think it's going to be 50%. A lot of people that think it's going to be 70, I just don't see it. I think that Chris Rodriguez gets some touches. LaQuint Allen is going to get some third down touches. And I'm not saying, I need to go get LaQuint Allen. No, this means that it's going to be kind of ass all around and no one's going to have a good time. Is where I'm at,
Yeah, man. And look, I'm actually going to have nice things to say about Tutin. I've had some people say, Ian, you're being a negative Nelly about everyone. I'm just trying to be honest about which guys I'm targeting and which one I'm not. So again, I think it's easier to say nice things about everyone, but this is, that real shit that you guys are hopefully looking for. But with Tutin, man, I agree with you. It's not this clear cut. He's going to be just the every down workhorse here. But I think if that's we all kind of agree, he'll probably be the lead back. It's just is it going to be 50% like you're saying, or maybe 70%? I think if it's 50%, we're probably ranking him around RB28 more weeks than not. Flex player, we're not in love with it. If we get out after week 1, though, Jagger, and it's a 70% snap rate for Tutin, and mind you, Chris Rodriguez, hopefully he's back from that offseason foot surgery. That's what I love in a running back competition is someone, maybe come back from a Liz Frank or whatever the hell is going on there. If Bashal Tutin, out of everyone in this range, I think realistically who could just boom up the ranks immediately with 1 or 2 things happening, it's confirmation that Bashal Tutin is really the lead back. If he's in that ETN role from last season, we're probably ranking him inside the top 15 as early as week 2. And that's something that's on the table, man. Could Travion completely unseat Ramondre? I guess, but that's doing a lot of, gymnastics to get to that point. I think Jadarian Price, another target of mine, that's another situation where, again, literally just something plausible and rational that could happen. If it does, he's zooming up the ranks. And then it would be Scatterboo and Judkins looking 100% after these devastating injuries. So that's kind of why I'm in on Tootin. I feel like he's a really good example right now of someone priced far closer to their floor than their ceiling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's again on the tier here. Price, Irving. I'm higher on Judkins. I say I'm higher. I'm on like three guys ahead. I saw something ugly, Ian. Did you see the Trent Richardson Quinshon Judkins rookie year comp?
Yeah.
Man?
Oh, no, I saw that with Genty too, man. Which, yeah, you know. But people don't tell you that Richardson was like a top 8 RB in fantasy as a rookie, to be fair.
As a rookie, yeah. He was really good. Like, it's revisionist history to say that Trent Richardson sucked. He was a very good player his rookie year, and then he just died, man. I don't think Quinshon Judkins is there because he's significantly more athletic. We have all that testing and whatnot. It's just he's a Brown. So there's remember what we said about bad offenses, y'all. David Montgomery, I'm happy to see that you're reasonable. Like, he's just inside at RB2 range. I think people think that Woody Marks is just never going to touch a football again. And I don't think that's true at all.
It is. People are acting like it's going to be 80-20 Montgomery. And, that's kind of what it was for Joe Mixon in 2024. Like, that's the case we're going for. It was just the Mixon show and a not great Texans offense, and he still posted RB1 worthy numbers just pretty much based on the volume. I was more confident in Mixon still catching, 50-plus passes, though, on that team than I am at Montgomery. Because to your point, man, Woody Marks, no joke. And that coaching staff felt good enough with Marks last season to give him, I think, like 15-plus touches in 10 of his last 11 games or whatever. I mean, he, for that reason alone, is a really good handcuff and not too different from some guys, I think, even going higher, because we could get some level of standalone value from Woody if he is the clear-cut pass down back. And then, again, if something happens to Demont, who's going to be 29, I believe, sooner rather than later, there are a decent amount of outs for him. So I go back and forth on Montgomery because, again, could he fall into the end zone multiple times? Texans should be, double-digit times, I should say, hopefully more than multiple. Texans defense is going to be a wagon, going to be a good football team overall. Why not just take, these 250-plus touches at a reasonable cost? But, man, that volume is doing a lot of work for an aging running back. That's fine, but I wouldn't exactly say is this world-class talent or anything like that. The one thing that tripped me up, though, Jagger, I was looking at the best early season schedules. First 4 or 5 weeks of the season. Nobody has a better first 2 months than Dave Montgomery and the Houston Texans. Now, it is based on some of last year's numbers. So when they're playing the Bengals and the Cowboys, Dexter Lawrence is there now. Cowboys obviously added a bunch of resources. What happened in 2025 isn't guaranteed to be 2026, but the schedule's nice on Demont. So I don't even have a great take for the guy. A lot of rambling there, so apologies, everyone. But I think in our Zero RB show, like, for the right build, though, if you're getting into round 5 and you're like, I have no running back right now, I do just kind of need to take a chance on that volume. He's your guy there, but generally there's way more exciting picks for me.
Yeah, I can 100% see that, because like I said, I don't have a whole lot. It just depends on what build I have, and if I'm drafting David Montgomery, it's normally out of desperation. It's like something went bad for me where I'm like trying to go and get some David Montgomery. We'll finish it off with the E tier here. I normally call this the Shadow Realm, but there's some good things here still. Ramondre Stevenson, Kyle Monangai, Chuba Hubbard, Jonathan Brooks, Tony Pollard, Rashad White, Blake Corum, Jordan Mason, J.K. Dobbins, Aaron Jones, RJ Harvey, Ja'Cory Cross-Game-Merritt. There's only one player I just do not like to draft, and that's RJ Harvey. That's about it. Yeah, like that's RJ Harvey. I thought he was a bad pick last year, man. I thought in dynasty and redraft, I go back to what I'm saying. It's like he just wasn't a very good player, man. And Sean Payton is just Sean Payton, and sometimes these guys do that. On top of that, he's Sean Payton, and I think that I go back to what I said about the Jaguars. It's going to be even uglier, where you're going to have Jonah Coleman, RJ Harvey, J.K. Dobbins. I just don't want a part of this, and especially RJ Harvey.
Again, just assuming Dobbins is going to go away after what we saw and they extended the guy, I just think everyone gets so excited about all these rookies that come into fantasy football, and you have your takes on them before the draft, which is cool and fine, and keep doing it, but just don't let it continue to influence your decision when we're looking at what is clearly going to be an annoying 3-headed committee and an offense that hasn't produced a good running back in how freaking long, man. All right. I know what Sean Payton did in New Orleans. Him and Drew Brees, one amazing running back after another, but Tight ends too. Like we keep trying to chase these ghosts from 10 plus years ago in fantasy land, and we're just ending up with RJ Harvey ranked way too high. So he was an RB1 down the stretch. It wasn't a pretty one though. It was mostly just volume based because Dobbins was out of the picture. So I'm with you where I have him outside of the tier with the Blake Corums, with the Kyle Monungai, because if something happened to Swift or Kyron, like we'd be ranking Monungai and Corum top 12 immediately without much of a second thought. And that would have been the case for Harvey if they didn't add Jonah Coleman, man, who's 220 pounds. He can factor in at the goal line. One of the best pass pro backs in the class. Caught a lot of balls at Washington as well. Like, there's a chance that Coleman's just better. Not a minimum, I think he's capable enough to really make this an annoying split if/when Dobbins goes down. So, yeah, the way it goes wrong, I guess, would be Harvey getting better year 2. That is legal for players to happen. The Broncos offense as a whole being better, and he just finds a way to catch like 60, 70 passes. But that just hasn't been the case in these recent years, man. Jalen Waddle is the one guy in Denver I want to go hard in the paint for. That's about it for me.
That exactly. Like Bo Nix, we've talked about this on our last QB tier show. He's one that at the finish line it's fine, but the journey's terrible. I hope at Jalen Waddle it's a lot different, and I do like Waddle at cost, but after that, I don't even. People are telling me like Justin Jolie. I'm like, cool, man. Like he costs nothing. I'm just not super hyped about that either. Other than that, there's just not. Sean Payton is such a weird coach, man. He's weird. And I don't mean that as a person, just the way he builds his team. Kyle Monangai, I'm a huge fan of. Him and Woody Marks were my two darlings from scouting that paid off. I'm willing to pencil him as David Montgomery in the role here. Is he worse than David Montgomery? I'm actually not even convinced of that he's worse than David Montgomery either. I think that, if anything, Swift is a worse Jahmyr Gibbs, but I don't think there's a lot of fall-off from Montgomery to Monangai. So I think he's a huge value. I have a lot of him. Jonathan Brooks, are you a believer? Does he live in your heart?
I'm cool with it, man, as long as that price stays cheap. Now, I was in this FFPC draft like 2 weeks ago, and he went like a round ahead of Chuba Hubbard. I can't quite get behind that, Jagger, but if he's going to remain as this, round 11 plus handcuff territory where he is on, Sleeper and ESPN, these home league sites, and I know it's going to change. We're recording this in the middle of July. If we can get him at that discount, it's great because he is, him, Rico Dowdle. I'm forgetting. There's probably another one or two. Like, there are a couple of these handcuff running backs who also maybe could just take over even without the assist of an injury. That is in Brooks, potential range of outcomes. But more realistically, even last year, we always point to, oh, look, Rico Dowdle took over for Chuba. He did, and Chuba was still coming back from that calf injury. But down the stretch, the last 7-8 weeks of the year, they pretty much went back to more of like a 50-50 split, maybe 60-40 in favor of Rico, because Chuba was doing good things again. So Brooks still somehow 22 years old, which blows my mind every single time I see it. So I want to believe in the guy, but, not exactly an offense we're thrilled about in the first place. But very, very good late-round handcuff pick, as long as he stays a late-round handcuff.
Yeah, he's one where he's getting expensive, man. He's getting expensive, especially in the best ball drafts. I'm like, Jonathan Brooks is your RB2. I feel bad making a video.
Some random run in practice where the defense isn't even allowed to tackle the guy, and then people are just going to keep driving up Brooks. Oh, look how healthy he looks. Look how great he looks. All this stuff that's coming. You know Brooks is going to be like one of the biggest climbers in August. He's going to have like a 12-yard run in a preseason game. It's going to go viral. It's
going to go nuts, man. Yeah, it's like you said, we're going to get the intern depth charts. And then I was talking to Rich, man. As soon as them training camp videos start, it's off to the races, man. Yep. It's off to the races. This is why here, guys, like, yeah, I made a Jonathan Brooks video. You should target him at his ADP. I never once said reach and make Jonathan Brooks your RB2. That's key. So Tony Pollard, good. Rashad White, we'll rapid fire through here. Are you a believer?
It's just an uncertain situation, and when we see these, whoever wins out, whether it's Rashad White or Bill Krause get married, like they're going to be ranked much, much higher once you just get more clarity. So I think that's more the allure for someone like Rashad White. So since coming to the league, it's him, CMC, and Alvin Kamara, only 3 running backs who have caught at least 200 passes. So he does have that, and as we see in fantasy football, like the easiest way for a mediocre real-life talent to become a very, very good fantasy performer is to be a running back catching passes or a quarterback who runs a lot. So he's got the right archetype. And just, again, Washington, Minnesota, Pittsburgh. I know the The uncertainty makes our human instinct to avoid it, but that's why they're as cheap as they are in the first place. So I'm fine taking shots on this, range of running backs because, again, if you hit the right one, then all of a sudden you got yourself, one of the better sleepers or late round values of the season.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That'll do it, guys. Those were 40 running backs that we went through there. Basically talked about everyone but a couple in the E tiers. Make sure to hit the like, subscribe button. And if you want to use all of our tools, all the cool things that we have going on and see our rankings, go over to rotowire.com. You can use my code JAG20 at checkout for 20% off now, not just the 15% off of all of our subscriptions. As always, it's me, Jagger May. That's Ian Hartitz, and you just watch a running back rankings and tier show. Love you guys, and we'll see you next time.